So, there is a short story which tells that one time in Tibet, there was a great master, one of the Panchen Lamas. I'm not sure if it was Panchen Losang Chögyal Gyaltsen or some other Panchen Lama, that he was giving a teaching. If I remember well, it was the transmission of the Kangyur or something like that. So every day he would come, there was many days teachings, so he would come to the Gompa, he would sit in the throne, then after that someone would come behind with a text to him, like holding very high, and put the text on his table, then he will open the text and give the transmission. And then after that, when he finished the transmission, he will close the text, give back, and then someone will take the text back. No? And one person that was there was a man, and one day he started questioning. He said, but why are we here while Panchen Rinpoche is always eating? When he's going to start to give teachings? And in his own personal perception, what was happening was that he was seeing Panchen Lama coming, sitting in the throne, and then he was just seeing someone coming, bringing a big piece of meat, and he was eating the meat the whole time. And then when he finished, he would just finish to eat the meat, and then someone will take the rest and will take it back. You know? And he would not have he would not listen to a word of the transmission, he would not see the text or anything like that. No? And still he had faith, still he was sitting there and waiting for the teachings, you know. He was like, okay, now Panchen Rinpoche is eating all these days, let's say one day he will start teaching. No? So, this is a story that is told very often in the context in which it's showing us two things. One is that we are not able to see what we are not ready to see, what we don't have the causes to see. We can have Buddha in front of us. If we do not have the merits, if we do not have the causes, we cannot see. So there is one part which regards our own merits, accumulation of merits and so on, to what we are able to perceive and to see. No? If we take this same story, and this is a quite strong, distortion of perception from a text to a piece of meat. But if we look to all of us, you know, we can very often, we can look at the same situation and we can see as how grateful I am to receive these teachings, how precious is this moment, or how boring it is, I'm here losing my time. We can see it as, we can look at the master giving the transmission and we can think, how compassionate, how beautiful, what so many blessings, or we can just look and we can see him also as having an attitude of being arrogant or whatever. You know, there are so many different ways how we can perceive the same reality. So many different ways. It is like thousands and thousands of different possibilities. So what it's saying here is that in one way, there is the fact of that depending on the merits that we accumulate. On the other side, there is also the fact that, yes, we perceive what we are ready to perceive, what we can perceive. And this is something that Buddha, since more than 2,500 years, have always been telling us, that reality is relative, that we perceive reality through the imputation of the name, and so on, that nothing exists in an autonomous, independent way, and so on. But also in the more modern science, such as neuroscience, or also especially in quantum physics and so on, more and more it's coming to the conclusion that we make our own reality. We are the ones that make our own reality. So what we see, what we listen, everything that we perceive, it's actually a reflection of our own selves. Okay? So this is an important point, because what it brings here is that when we perceive something, it is not something that is totally objective. It depends very much on how we perceivers are. That's depending on what we are going to see, how we are going to see. But still here there is one point that we need to be careful. We have the tendency to go from one extreme to the other. So we have the tendency to go from the extreme that everything depends only externally, I am just seeing it, Then we may go to the other extreme in which we say, oh, so everything is just made up by my mind. Okay? There is a middle way that we need to go through. So, what happens is that our own perception of reality is the union of many, many aspects put together. It's not just our own mentality, it's not just our own projections, it's not just external reality. There are many, many aspects that are together. And one of the main aspects that really influences a big deal of how we perceive reality and so on is the so-called karma. Which means that everything that we perceive, or better, everything that we experience, we are not able to experience anything if we have not created the causes to experience such thing. No. The law of karma is one of the fundamental aspects of the worldview that Buddha have taught us. And within the law of karma, it is not the concept that if I do good, I get some prizes and benefits. If I do bad, I get some punishment. That's not the real concept of karma. Karma is much more the fact that every action that I do, I create a cause, and everything that I experience is the result of causes that were done in the past with conditions that are created in the present. And the union of the two together makes me to have such experience. So I am not able to experience anything, good or bad, if I have not created the causes in the past and if conditions have not been present in the present. So, based on this concept, what happens is that if I don't have the karma to see Penche Rinpoche giving the teachings, I will see him just as eating meat, which was the case of this man, no? So what happened? He was not there with some bad prejudice and misconception about the Panchen Lama or any of that, you know. He was there waiting for the teachings with a lot of faith. He was even after a few days, he came and he said, excuse me, when is Penche Rinpoche going to start giving teachings? You know? So he had faith, he had respect, everything. He had a pure mind relationship, but still he could not see it. He could not listen to it. Why? No karma. The causes were not there. So depending on our own merits, depending on our own karma, we experience reality through the causes that we have created in our own past. This is how we experience reality. So that's why it's so important, actually, the whole part of accumulation of merit. We really need to do a lot of accumulation of merit. We need to do a lot of purification, because the way how we perceive reality is not just based on conceptually what I think and so on. It's very much to deal with the causes that I have created, how much positive energy I have accumulated, how much merits I have accumulated in order to be able to have such experience or not. Otherwise, I can be in the presence of the most special opportunity with the greatest of the masters and in the best opportunity, and what I see, a waste of time. I'm just nervous because of this or that, you know. It's like being in the Gompa with the best of the most special opportunity with the Buddha there in flesh and bone, and then the mind is just busy because the cushion is not comfortable, because it's too hot, or because of this or because of that. This means that we have no merits to see and to relate to the sacred aspect of it. You know? So, this has also another impact, which is our tendency normally is to judge others through our own eyes, which means like we judge others by the way how we are. So when we see someone else acting, doing whatever, normally we will judge that person's actions and that person's behaviors based on what? On our own way of being. So, he's doing this because of that. Why? Because if I would do that, I would do it in that way. So normally, we always judge others through our own selves. That's a big mistake, generally speaking, because we are different. No? Have anyone ever judged you in a wrong way? Myself, many times. You know, people come and oh, you do this because of that. No. It's like this, like that. Not really. Because we are different and we have different ways of seeing, of perceiving, of experiencing our motivations, our perception. It's different. So what happens is that our tendency is to look at other people, see the way how they act, how it appears to us, and judge it as if we were the one doing it. But we are different. But if we do not change this behavior in relation to our common daily life things, we will do the same together with our gurus, together with the Buddhas, wherever. So, the tendency that we have normally in this way is that when we are in front of someone very sacred, such as our guru, the tendency that we have is to judge in accordance to the way how we are, so we bring down the sacred, the guru, to our own level by judging him or her on the way how we are, on how we would do it. Instead of understanding that this is my own way of seeing, but keeping the sacred in the sacred and wanting to go to that level. I don't know if it's clear, but it's like it's a big difference of approach. Because what happens is like this: when I am in front of any situation, okay, if I relate to it as something ordinary, I will experience it as something ordinary. If I relate to it as an incredible opportunity, I will leave it as an incredible opportunity, and I will look how to find and how to obtain that opportunity. If I see it as something sacred, I will relate to it in the sacred manner, and so on. So, where we are in front of what is supposed to be sacred, which is our gurus, the holy places we go, such as this, and so on. Depends the way how, even though it has all the characteristics to support seeing it as a holy place, as something very special, and so on, it depends very much on how we relate ourselves to it. And in order to be able truly to relate it as something sacred and pure and so on, it's not just a matter of mental projection. It depends on the merits. We must have the merits. Otherwise, even though we have all the faith, we will still see the guru there eating meat. Or whatever. Okay? So, that's why it's giving so much emphasis to do the preliminaries before, to accumulate merits, to purify our negativities. So this will help us to have a more clear view, more pure view of reality. So, in this way, also, the main point I wanted to bring is that whenever we are in front, when we talk about the guru, when we talk about our spiritual guide, even which is the main quality that we look for? One of the greatest, not the main, but one of the most important qualities that a guru or must have, or that a Buddha have, is that of adapting him or herself to our own needs. Because if a Buddha manifests in a pure form to us, like with his Sambhogakaya body, the body of enjoyment, of subtle, pure body, we don't see it. We are not able to relate to it. So, in order for me to be able to relate to a Buddha, in which way the Buddha need to manifest to me? First of all, in flesh and bone. Otherwise, I'm not able to relate. Second, in a way that I can connect to. So he must come down to my level so that I can relate. Because the only way that one being can help another, the only way that anyone, it doesn't matter a Buddha, the only way that anyone can help us, the only way that anyone can guide us, the only way that anyone can teach us is actually by interacting with us. And for anyone to interact with me must be in my level because I'm not able to go to his level. So it must come down to my level. That's the only way. So, when the Buddha manifests in an ordinary appearance, that's the greatest of all, that's the most kind way, that's the greatest of manifestations of kindness. Because that's what we need, Because That's what we are able to see. But then it depends on our own merits and our own mind once to be able to see the sacred in the sacred, to be able to see the Buddha in the Buddha, and so on. Okay? So, this is one important point. So, in this context that what we see, it's a result of our own merits and so on, there is also the fact that we have such wonderful opportunities here, actually. Just the simple fact of having this wonderful guru, as we have Lama Michel Rinpoche. But the way how Rinpoche manifests to us is a result of the way how we relate to him. If we relate to him as a friend, he will manifest as a friend. If we relate to him as someone nice that is there to help us, he will be there to help us. If we relate to him as the father that we don't have, that we miss, he will relate to us as a father, and so on. If we relate to him as a spiritual guide, to guide us on the path to enlightenment, that's how he will relate to us. So it depends also how we put. That makes a big difference. And it's very important for us to be aware of the opportunities we have in life. Because if we are not aware of the opportunities and we do not take hold of these special opportunities we have, what will happen is that we will just continue going around the same stupid cycles of life. Not stupid, sorry to say, but common things that we just repeat again and again. If we look, finally, what do we do most of the times? And if we look around in the world, what most people are constantly doing? We are trapped in this cycle of gaining the object of desire, keeping the objects of attachment, and avoiding the objects of aversion. That we are, when there is something that we want so much, we want and we put and we think about it 10,000 times a day and we want and it's always there. When we have something that we are very attached to it, we try to keep it and we don't want to let it go. And our mind and our actions are busy with that. When there is something that we don't like or we don't want, we try to avoid it so strongly that it takes great part of our mind and our time and our energy. So very often we are trapped into these three actions, We are trapped in the action of gaining wealth and consuming and gaining pleasure and avoiding difficult situations and so on. On the other side, there is another way of being trapped also, which is, if we look, we have our own behaviors of body, speech, and mind, habits. And many of them are there, and they're going to continue to repeat until we are not able to change something inside of us. Like a few days ago, I was talking to a friend, and this friend met one of his friends after a long time. And so he was telling me that he was touched because he said, well, after almost I don't remember if it was 12 years or 18 years, whatever, a long time after, this person is in a different context, complete different context, successfully, professionally, and everything that he wanted, but he is still trapped in the same problems, in the same mentality. The complaints are the same as 15 whatever years ago. It's the same thing, exactly the same situation, in a complete different context. So what happened is that normally we are always blaming the world around us, and we are thinking, I am feeling bad because of this and that, and we are trying to change the world around us constantly. But if we do not understand that it's because of something that is within us, we will continue to change outside and try to, we are the victim of the world and we try to change the world around us and we continue to do that, and finally we are always trapped into the same place. So, it is really important for us to get out of this inner cycle somehow and being able to at least see, okay, this is the cycle in which I am. I need to put energy in an opposite direction. Because also there are two ways to deal with our own, negative mental, physical, and verbal habits that we have. Okay, we can go back and we can see why I act in this way. Oh, it's because when I was a child, this and that happened to me, and I have this trauma and this and that. Okay, we can go through the whole psychological process of it, but this we go to a psychologist. Okay, And it's a valid process that can help in many levels, okay? I have nothing against it, the other way around. I think it can help in many ways. But here we are talking about a different thing. The main issue is that when we see that we have behaviors, inner deep behaviors that we really see that is not good, we don't need to go backwards to understand why. Because most probably we will not find it. One day it may manifest clearly, but it's not so obvious to find why. What we need to do is we need to put effort to have an opposite attitude in front of the same situation. Once we change our attitude, then naturally things start to change also. And this doesn't come automatically. This doesn't come spontaneously. It is like recognizing our own negative habits and our own negative patterns of mind and emotions and so on. It is like seeing where is the darkness. But once we recognize where is the darkness, the way to eliminate darkness is not by focusing in darkness. Once I see that there is darkness, it's not enough for me to say, oh, there is too much darkness, I need to take away the darkness, and we try to take away the darkness. How can I take away the darkness? By going to light, by bringing in light. There is no other way how I can take away darkness unless that bringing in light. So once we recognize where is the darkness, we need to focus our energy into the antidote, into light. And by that we bring it with darkness, even though if it requires effort. So, once we recognize which is the cycles that we are and our own attitudes, then we need to really put an effort to act differently in front of the same situation. And this will actually gradually make a deep change into us. So, the main issue here, not the main, but one important things I wanted to bring today is that very soon, like in 2 weeks' time, we are going to have this wonderful opportunity of Nyima Trungpa Rinpoche coming here. It's like altogether around 50 days of teachings. And it's going to be a very special occasion. Now, just yesterday we finished with Rinpoche, calling Nyima Rinpoche and so on, to finish to make the program for it. So in these next days we are going to make it public. So we have, we even have an, preliminary idea, because we are not 100% sure, but let's say 90% sure of which day what initiation and so on. And so it's quite wonderful, all the thing, but I think it's important for us to prepare ourselves, as a center and as each individuals also. So by focusing on our preliminary practices, by focusing on preparing the center to receive this special Lama, and to receive all other monks and lamas that are coming. We have many other monks and lamas coming from Nepal, from India, from Mongolia, from different places also. So I think it's something very special that we have. So we really need to rejoice about this opportunity and prepare ourselves by accumulating merits, by purifying our negativity, so that we can live this experience in the most pure way, that we can really gain the essence of what we have, these special opportunities. Because these are opportunities that do not repeat so often in life. Actually, every opportunity do not repeat again, but there are some things that similar things can happen again, other things which is much more difficult. So we need really to prepare ourselves in order to gain the best out of it. Okay? So this, I think, is mainly what I wanted to bring today, this morning. And just, it's important for us to rejoice of the opportunities that we have. Okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten che namkar chinle chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasomgi drove munse tatu ne gyuru che nimo dele tsendele nime kunyan delek shing ninsen taktu delek pe koncho sumke chingelo Concho sumge ngodrup tsol, concho sumge trashishon. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations, and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.